Hi guys. So in this video, we'll be discussing about Singleton Design Pattern. It has asked to me in almost every interview. Okay. So you can say like out of 5 interviews I've given, in 3 interviews, they have asked me to implement Singleton Design Pattern. Okay. So not normal Singleton. You have to implement break-free Singleton Design Pattern. Okay. And they will ask a use case like where will you implement this Singleton Design Pattern. So let's watch this video completely. We'll get to know where exactly you can use it and how to implement a break-free singleton design pattern in one single short video. Okay, so let's get started. So let me share my screen to make you understand what is singleton design pattern first. So from the name itself, you can understand, like if I'm talking about singleton, okay, so what does it mean? Singleton means I'm creating only one single instance. So one single instance will be created by JVM at any given point of time. Okay. So let's suppose I'm taking an example of Gmail. Okay. So when you are opening inbox, okay, at that point of time, are you sending mail? No, right? That feature is not visible. So only one instance will be created at any point of time. Like if you are sending mail, so at that point of time, when you click on send, compose and send mail, that time that instance will be created. Okay. So other instances, functionalities of instances will not be created. Okay. And in Gmail, there are a lot of functionalities, right? We can compose mail, we can send mail, okay, we can delete mail, okay, we can add someone in my Gmail account. Okay. So there are a lot of features available in Gmail, but all instances will not be created at one single point of time. Okay, so only one instance will be created. Another use case you will get to know when we are having DB interaction. When you are interacting with DB, at that point of time, what will happen? When you are interacting with DB, do you want multiple DB calls or do you want a minimal DB calls? You want minimal DB calls, right? Why? Because it's costly operation. Okay, you are interacting with DB again and again, again and again. You are hitting DB, then it is costing you. Okay, so now you will not understand because you are using it locally, MySQL or Oracle SQL. In organization, or when you will go to organization, when you are making use of AWS cloud or Azure, you are importing all your data to Azure cloud. Okay, and it's like a pay as you go model. Okay, so how much you are using, based on that you have to pay. So as many times you are requesting a particular DB point, through endpoint you are requesting to DB to fetch the data or saving data in DB, then that many times you have to pay. So that penny will be going out of company's pocket. So you have to minimize the loss of the company. You have to minimize the cost of the company. So for that, what we have to do, you have to implement a design pattern in such a way that your work will also be done, organization task will also be done, client work will also be done, and at the same time the cost will be less and it will be highly optimized. So which design pattern will come to mind when thinking this scenario? So singleton design pattern will best fit over here. Okay, singleton design pattern will fit the best over here. So it has become very important because for client perspective, singleton is very important to be implemented. So that's why this is asked in almost every interview. Okay, they will ask like, where have you used? Tell me the use case. Okay, so they will tell you to implement singleton design pattern. There are a lot of concept in singleton design pattern, so we will understand that. So first thing is it will create an instance as and when required. Okay, so it will not create multiple instances. So that's why it is singleton in nature. Okay, so first of all, we will be understanding like how will you create a singleton design pattern. Okay, so for creating a singleton design pattern, what we need, the first and foremost thing that we need is we need to have a private constructor, which is very important. Okay, we need to have a private constructor so that no other class can inherit that class and create an object out of it. Okay, so to avoid object creation, we need to have a private constructor, but that can also be broken. So I will tell you after this completing of this task. So second way, like there are certain other steps also to implement a singleton class. Okay, your own singleton class. So second step will be you need to have a private static reference variable. Okay, you need to have a private static class type reference. So you need to have class name here. Okay, you need to have class name here. Okay, I'm writing class name, but whatever class name you are having, let's suppose class A, so you will write here A. Okay, if class is B, you have to write here class B. Okay, so private static class type reference. Okay, so you will write here instance. Okay, so this will be there and you can assign it to null. Okay, or if you are not assigning also, then also it will be fine. Okay, so this is the second step. What's the third step, guys? What's the third step to implement singleton design pattern? So third step will be you need to have a public static method. Okay, you need to have a public static method to create an instance for you as and when required. Okay, there should be a method, right, to create an instance. Where will you write that method? And where will you write that logic? That logic will be written in this method, public static get instance methods. So whenever this get instance method will be called, then object creation process will be starting over here. Okay. So within that, you have to write a logic to implement a singleton design pattern. That is, you have to create only one single object at any given point of time. So for that, what will you do over here? You have already created instance. Okay. So what will you do over here? You will implement like if instance, okay, if instance is equal to null, okay, if instance is null, then what will happen? We will be creating our own singleton class. Okay, so we will be writing here instance equal to new class, whatever is the class name that you have to create. Okay, okay. So otherwise, if it is instance is not null, then we will directly return this instance. Okay, I hope you're able to understand its instance. So this is the way we will write singleton. Okay, so these are the steps that we have to implement. Understood now? But here is one problem. Okay, so this will work only with a single threaded design pattern. Okay, so if it is like single threading, then only it will work. Okay, if one single thread is working at any given point of time, then only this particular process will work. If let's suppose there are multiple threads coming, okay, let's suppose you have built up an application and multiple threads are coming at the same point of time. Multiple threads are coming at the same point of time to read and write the data from your application. Then what will happen? At same point of time, let's suppose two threads come to write the data in DB. Then what will happen? How will you handle that scenario? Will that be maintained by this piece of code, by these three steps only? No. So you have to do some extra configuration so that you can handle multiple threads at the same time. So what will you do in that scenario? You have to modify the existing code. Okay. So what modifications you have to do? Let's see that. So first modification that you have to do is you have to make here the reference variable as volatile. I will tell you why I'm making it as volatile. Okay. So first step is you have to create a reference variable as volatile. And the second thing what we have to do is you have to make here double check locking concept. You have to implement double check locking concept. So this point is itself an interview question. Like what is double check locking concept in singleton design pattern? Okay. So this is very important question. So for maintaining the proper consistency in database connection, database and retrieval process, or to allow multiple threads to work at the same time. So double check locking concept will help in that, so that only one thread will act on the application for writing purpose specifically. So multiple thread can come and read. There is no issue with that. But if multiple threads are coming at the same time and writing, doing some write operation onto the file or onto the DB, that creates an inconsistency problem. Okay, because there is certain called as commit uncommit process. Okay, so there will be like read committed, read uncommitted. There are like various propagation levels are there. So that is a separate set of concepts. So what will happen if first thread is coming and they are changing the value of a from 5 to 7? Let's suppose initial value of a is 5. Okay, thread 1 has come and it has changed the value of a from 5 to 7. Now thread 2 has come. Okay, so thread 2 is not knowing what is the current value. Okay, so he might be under the convention that the value of a is 5 only. So he will work by thinking that the value of a is 5 and it will utilize that value and then it will do some work. But the output will be wrong, right? Output will be inconsistent because thread 1 has already changed the value of a from 5 to 7, but that is not notified to other threads. What thread 1 has made the changes. Okay, so that notification is not happening properly with multiple threads. So because each and every thread has its own cache memory. Okay, so each and every thread, if you see over here, each is having their own cache memory. Okay, each is having their own cache memory, and whatever thread 1 is making changes. Okay, so if you are not implementing double check locking concept, then what will happen? And if you are not using volatile, and if you are not using double check locking concept, then what will happen? Multiple threads will come, okay, and the data will be whatever thread one is making the change, okay, whatever thread one is making the change, that is being made into the cache memory of that particular thread, okay. So there is certain called as main memory also, okay. There is a big main memory present, okay. So if the changes are done in main memory, then only those changes made by that particular thread is being visible to all other threads, okay. But in case of single thread functionality, only one thread is making change to one single cache, okay. So other threads are not able to know what thread one has made a change, okay. So that creates an inconsistency problem. So to avoid that, to handle multiple thread problems, we are making some changes in here. So firstly, we are making use of volatile so that visibility will get guaranteed, okay. So there will be no issue in visibility, and all other threads will come to know that what each thread has made the changes in that particular reference or method, okay. So that visibility will be guaranteed, and the data will be stored in the main memory, not cache memory if you are using volatile, okay. So whenever changes are done in main memory for that particular reference, all the threads will get to know what each thread is making change, okay. So that is very much important for, and that is the importance of using volatile over here, okay. This is very much important interview question, so we should be aware of this. Then the next thing, which is double check locking concept. So what we are doing in double check locking concept, so let's implement double check locking over here. So double check locking, what will happen? Same thing will be there. Here we have to do certain thing. So here what we will do, okay. So here we are making use of synchronized. We are making use of synchronized, and here we have to provide class name. Whatever class name is there, A, B, C, anything you can put over here, okay. So here will be the class name synchronized. That means this particular block of code will be synchronized, okay. This particular block of code will be synchronized over here. Then again there will be like, again we have to check whether reference is null or not. Again we have to check here if reference or instance is null or not, okay. If reference is null, then only create a new instance, then only create a new instance, okay. This is very important. I will show you in code also how it is working. So here you might be thinking like what I'm writing, you're not able to get right properly. So don't worry, we'll be showing you in the code like how it is been working. So there you will get a more clarity on this, okay. So I have written synchronized. Why I have written synchronized? Okay, so it creates a data consistency. So inconsistency data problem will be removed because synchronization allows only one single thread to work at one point of time. So there is something called as object locking concept. Okay, so if one thread is coming, so one thread will acquire the object lock on one particular reference. Okay, so at that point of time, other threads will be waiting till that particular thread has completed its task and it releases the object lock. Okay, so after thread one has released the object lock, then only second thread or third thread will come and acquire the object lock and start working, and other threads will be waiting. So to allow this process, synchronized is very much important. This is very important keyword. So now the question will arise like, why I have put synchronized over a block, not over a method? Okay, so we can put synchronized over here as well, right? Public static synchronized get instance. Here also we can write synchronized. That also is possible. But why we are not writing here in method? Just think it about it once. We are not writing at a method level because if let's suppose out of 10 lines you are writing in this method, only 2 or 3 lines requires this property of synchronization to maintain the consistency. Rest 6, 7 lines is doing some other task. Then is it necessary to synchronize entire method? No, right? It's not required for that. Why? Because it will increase the performance problem, right? Okay, it hampers the performance of that particular code. So if 7 lines of code is not requiring synchronization property, then why we are synchronizing whole method? It's not required. We can do synchronization over a method when each line is required to be synchronized. Okay, where each and every line of this method is required to have a synchronization and proper data consistency. Okay, so for that sake, only few lines only we need to synchronize. Okay, and other lines are not required to be synchronized. Okay, because their object lock will not create a much impact. Okay, if multiple thread is also working, then also it will not create much impact. So for that sake, we are using synchronized block. Okay, so that part of the code only will be taking time, and other part of the code will not be taking time. So performance will be improved drastically over there. So that's why synchronization over a block is preferred over here. And here, why we are checking, why we are doing double check. Here I am already checking. Then again I am checking over here. Why I am doing like this? Okay, so there is a reason for that. So let's suppose there are multiple threads coming, right? You can see here multiple threads are there. Thread 1, thread 2, thread 3, thread 4. All threads will try to come over here. Okay, all threads will try to come over here and will try to acquire the object lock. So will it allow all the threads at the same time? No, right? It will allow only one thread to acquire the object lock at one time. So first thread will come, okay? First thread will come and tell like, hey, I want to create an object lock. My resource is very important to perform. So what it will do, it will allow thread one. Okay, thread one, please come inside. Now thread one will go inside and it will check whether the reference of this thread is null or not. Okay, so if the instance is null, that means object is not yet created. Okay, and we are creating the object lock. The first time it will see that whether object lock is being created by that particular thread or not. So by this, actually, it is checking if there is object lock made by this thread one or not. So it is not there. So again, it will go inside. Okay. And when synchronized class A is mentioned, then it will not allow any other thread to create object lock. Only thread one will be creating object lock over here. Then after that, it will check again if reference is null or not. Now it will check the actual reference of that thread. Okay. So actual reference of the thread is not null. Okay. Sorry, initially actual instance will be null. So instance will be null. So we will create a new instance over here and we'll return it over. We'll return a new instance over here. So like this, through double check locking concept, we are maintaining data consistency. Okay. And we are handling multiple thread write operation as well. So now when second thread will come over here, okay. So now second thread will be blocked at this stage only. Okay, it will not allow to go inside from this stage because it will check over here. Is there any other thread where object lock is being acquired? Yes, thread one is already working. So it will it will notify to this thread 2 who is trying to acquire the object lock. Hey, thread 2, wait, thread 1 is already working and object lock is being acquired still. So wait for thread 1 to complete its task. So as soon as thread 1 has completed its task, then what will happen? Thread 1 will tell to all the threads like, my work is done now. Now you all can start working. So object lock will be released by thread 1. Okay. So now no other thread is there. So thread 2 will come inside and it will check whether there is any other object lock or not. No, object lock has been revoked by thread 1. Okay. So now it will allow thread 2 to come inside and then it will check if the reference is actually null or not. Yes, thread 2 is not created. Reference is not created for thread 2. So it will allow to create a reference for thread. Okay. And this way only multiple threads will be allowed one at a time. Okay. And it will come in proper synchronized pattern. Okay. So synchronously data will be working over here from multiple threads. Okay. So like this, and through this, what will happen? It will be like it will be a little bit slower in performance as compared to the original singleton in single threaded model. Okay, so previous singleton design pattern was there, right, without using volatile and double check locking. That is a little bit more faster because there was no issue with multiple threads. So we have considered only one thread we are working at a time. Okay, but when multiple threads are coming into consideration, so data consistency becomes the more priority task. So for that, we need to understand how we can implement so that multiple threads can do write operation at one time. So we have to implement this concept. Okay. So two things we have to make change. First is volatile addition and second is double check locking concept. I hope you have understood the concept of this singleton design pattern. So this two part is over. Now the next part will come like, can I break this design pattern? This question will come, right? There are a lot of steps involved here. So we can break this design pattern also, right? Then if design pattern singleton is being broken, then we can create a new instance out of it. So there is no use of singleton, right? So we have to create a break-free singleton design pattern. So what we can do in that scenario? So to create a break-free design pattern, singleton design pattern, what we can do in that scenario, guys? We have to understand like what are the ways we can break. Okay, first we have to know the root cause of the problem. Then only you can give the solution to that problem, right? So you have to first understand what is the root cause. What are the steps which is being taken so that we can break the singleton design pattern. Then only you can give the solution. So let me tell you what are the ways to break the singleton design pattern. Okay, so let me go to the next page. Okay, so now the next topic will be ways to break. Okay, I hope you are liking my video, so please like and subscribe my channel so that you will get to know this type of information. Okay, so ways to break singleton design pattern. Okay, what are the ways to break the singleton design pattern? So first way, I will tell you. What is the first way? First way will be if you are making use of reflection. Okay, I will tell you how reflection helps to break the singleton design pattern. So reflection is basically what you are creating the constructor reference by using the class of that singleton. Okay, you are using like class name dot get declared constructor. You are storing it in a constructor and you are giving it access. So there is one method called set accessible. Set accessible, we are assigning it to true. With that reference of that constructor, okay, with that reference of the constructor, we are giving the access to break the constructor, private constructor. So if I'm giving access as true, that means I'm giving access that, hey, you can go and you can break that private constructor and you can create the object out of it. Okay, then we can do here constructor. What are the ways of creating object? Okay, so there are multiple ways of creating object. One is new keyword. With the help of new keyword, you can create object. Another way is by using class.foreName. Another way is by using new instance. Okay, so you can make use of new instance. So like that, you can create an instance for yourself. By this way, you will see that the hash code will vary. Okay, how will you verify that the singleton has been broken? So first, you will get the hash code initially without breaking. Okay, and then you break it using reflection, and then you again try to create an instance. Okay, so if you see the hash code is changing, that means the new object is being created, and if new object is being created, that means singleton design pattern has been broken. Okay, so this is the first way to break the singleton design pattern. Okay, what's the second way to break the singleton design pattern? Second way to break the singleton design pattern is with the help of deserialization. Okay, deserialization. So there is something called as serialization and deserialization. So serialization means converting the Java objects, whatever you are writing, entity class, Pojo classes, all the classes, they are entities you are creating, right? So there is certain form of objects which is being created. So you are converting Java object into stream of bytes so that it will be getting stored in file or in DB. Okay, so this is the way it will work. So for this to happen, this process is called as serialization. But if you want to convert those Java those file data or the DB data back to Java objects, that process is called as deserialization. Okay, so in case of this singleton or design pattern, what will happen if you serialize? Okay, so there will be no issue with that with serialization. But if you are doing deserialization, then only the singleton will be broken. And if you will check the hash code after deserialization, you will get that the hash code of initial singleton instance and after deserialization singleton instance will be completely different. That means it has been broken. Okay. So this is the way to break the singleton design pattern. And third way to break the singleton design pattern is with the help of clone method. Okay. If you use the clone method, you can create a cloned object of the existing singleton object. Okay, so if you create a cloned object, there will be like a new reference and a heap memory. Okay, so if there is a new reference to the heap memory, then what will happen? Singleton is broken because new instance. Okay, and singleton properties, we should have only one instance at any given point of time. That means singleton is broken. So if there is a problem, there will be a solution. So here there are solutions. So these are the three problems. Okay, so there will be solution for these three problems. So what are the solutions? Let's understand that. Okay, then we will jump onto the code to see like how we are resolving the code. Okay, so first way of solving this problem is of reflection problem is there are two ways to solve a reflection problem. First way to solve reflection problem is with the help of what you can use with the help of enum. Instead of creating a singleton class, you can create an enum. Why we are creating enum? Because in the class you can create the object, you can break the constructor also. Okay, but if you are creating enum, you can't create the object of it. Okay, have you created object of enum any time before? No, right? What is enum? Enum is something which is behaving similar to class or interface, but it doesn't contain any constructor. Okay, it will be like a global constructor will be created once at all when you are creating the enum. Okay, and we are not writing any business logic, we are just writing the reference. Okay, let's suppose you are creating instance, so instance just like that, only one single reference will work. Okay, we are not creating any object, we are not creating constructor, so you can't create object, so reflection will be broken. So reflection problem will be resolved now. Second way to solve this reflection problem is we will check within this private constructor. Private constructor you have created, right? So within this private constructor only we can write one condition. If the instance or the reference which you have created, that variable, right? What variable we have created that type? Private static reference. Here you can see here this variable, private static class type reference. So this instance will be checking over here. Okay. If this reference is not equal to null, if this reference is not equal to null, then what we will do? If reference is not equal to null, we will be throwing new illegal argument exception you can throw, or any exception of your choice you can throw. Okay, there is no issue with that. Okay, so there you can check directly. If reference is not equal to null, then you can throw the exception. Okay, so this way we can manage. Okay, so like this way we can manage. Okay, and we can avoid breaking the singleton using reflection. Now next step is using deserialization. How we can solve this problem? Singleton is being broken with deserialization, right? So we can solve this problem with the help of read resolve method. Okay, there's certain thing called as read resolve method that we have to implement that. Okay, so within this read resolve method is there. Okay, so you have to make use of read resolve method, and within that you have to return the reference. Okay, so you basically are overriding this read resolve method and you are changing its implementation by giving only the returning difference. So whatever will be the existing reference value, that will be returned. Okay, so no new reference will be returned from here. Only the existing reference which is already created, that only will be returned. So like this way we can solve this problem of breaking singleton using deserialization. Now the third problem that we can solve is cloning. How we can solve cloning problem? We can solve cloning problem when we override clone method. So what we can do, we can make use of this. This is present in object class, right? So we are overriding the object class method. Okay, so we are overriding object class method. So we will be writing protected void clone method. Okay, and it will throw clone not supported exception. So we will throw here clone not supported exception, and within that you can throw here. Either you can throw new exception something, or you can throw clone not supported exception, or you can directly return reference variable. Okay, so that will also work. So these are the ways of breaking and resolving the ways to break singleton. Okay, there are three ways to break singleton design pattern, and there are ways to resolve them as well. So now let's jump onto the code and let's see how we can solve this. Okay, so I'm stopping my screens here. Let me share my main screen. So I hope you can see my screen now. So this is very much important. Okay. So I've written here the class name as coding test because it was asked to me in the EPAM solution. Okay. In EPAM exam, they have asked me to implement this. Okay. So we have created private constructor. Okay. So we have created private static volatile singleton reference assigned, and then it's not required to assign to null directly. Okay. So here we are making use of double check locking concept. Okay. We are checking 2 times. I hope you are getting it why I've written it. Okay. So public static class type reference get instance. Okay. We are checking null. So it will check like whether locking is there for the thread or not, and this will check whether the reference is actually null or not. Okay. Then we are returning the final reference. Then this will be telling you. So I have created separate method. Okay. Check for reflection, check for deserialization, and check for cloning. Okay. So it will be very much simple to explain to the interviewer if you have clearly created separate methods for different ways of breaking design patterns. Okay. So first way of breaking is reflection, right? So I've created separate method for that. Okay. Let me go inside it. So I've created first new instance so that we can compare the hash code of previous and now. What's the difference in hash code? So that's why I've created a get instance, and I have put the original hash code of the singleton. Okay, instance one dot hash code I have created. Then I'm checking the reflection. Okay, to reflection, it can be broken, right? It can be broken, correct? So like this, I have created constructor dot set accessible. I have put it to true. Singleton the class name dot class dot get declared constructor. We will be creating constructor for that, and the type is generics provided is singleton type, which is my class name. Okay, then we are setting accessibility to true. Okay, and then we are creating the object using new instance method. Okay, and then we are seeing the hash code. So let's see what is happening. So if I run this, you will see here. What you are seeing over here, there are two different hash codes coming. Okay, so this hash code is without calling the reflection, and this hash code is after reflection what is happening. So after reflection what is happening, I have commented out all code, only this part is being run. Okay, so you can see like two different hash codes are coming. That means singleton is being broken. So if both hash codes are same, that means only one single object is being created. That means it is already broken. It's now gone. So now how can I make the change in such a way that it will make the same hash code? I want this to be same. Okay, so what we can do in that scenario, we can do here, we can go over here. Okay, this is my constructor, and within that you can write if instance or reference. I think I've taken reference. Let me check the variable what I've taken. Yeah, it's reference. If reference is not equal to null, that means it is not null. That means value is already there. Then it should not go and inject. Okay, and create constructor. It should not allow that. So I will throw new illegal argument or illegal state exception breaking private constructor not allowed. Okay, so I hope you are getting it. So this way I am not allowing the object to break the private constructor. So now let me see it again by running what is happening. Yeah, it is throwing me exception. The initial hash code was this, but now it is trying to change the hash code. So it is not allowing me to change the hash code. So now if you see over here what is coming, it is showing invocation target exception. And if you just see it over here, see here it is printed breaking private constructor not allowed. And here it is showing illegal state exception. That means it is not allowing me to break my private constructor. So now the singleton property is being maintained. Okay, so now one instance is being created, and if you are trying to change the instance, it is throwing me exception. So now that problem is resolved. Now the second problem is during deserialization, that we will understand now. Okay, so let's understand deserialization part. So then I will comment out this one, this method. Then I will uncomment this method. Check for deserialization. So I've created one instance, so that is already there now. Okay, instance one dot hash code. Okay, so that will be same for all. Okay, and now I will go inside. So now how deserialization is working over here. So first we have to serialize and then we have to deserialize. So for serialization, I have created object output stream reference equal to new object output stream equal to new file output stream. We are providing the file path. Okay, and what is a file name? Then there is something certain thing called as write object. With the help of write object, what you can do, it doesn't return anything. Return type is void. So basically, with the help of write object, it serializes the Java objects into the file or in DB. Okay. So here I have made use of file serialization.txt. So it is putting up all the object data into a file serialization.txt. So now serialization is being done over here. I have closed the object now. Then I'm doing the deserialization now. Okay, so in deserialization, it is again getting the data from the file and then converting it into back to my Java object. Okay, so for that we need to have object input stream reference. Okay, object output stream is for writing the data into file, and then object input stream is to fetching the data from the file. Okay, so same thing will be there, only class name has been changed from object output stream to object input stream and file output stream to file and input stream. Okay, so now we are typecasting it with singleton and we are making use of read object method. So there is certain thing called as write object for writing data into file, and read object is getting the data from the file into Java object. Then we are storing it in singleton reference, because here you can say return type is object. Okay, object input stream. And for read object is return type is object. We have to store it in our object, but object should be of specific type, right? So class name is singleton, so we are typecasting it to singleton type. We are downcasting it to singleton type, and then we are closing it. So with this reference, I am calling the hash code, and we will be checking what is the hash code coming. So if I check the hash code, so here you can see hash code is being changed. That means during deserialization process, my new object is being created. So now singleton property is being broken. So how we can resolve this problem? So we can resolve this problem by overriding read resolve method. Okay. So there is certain thing called as read resolve method over here. So if we just uncomment it, so this is the commented line. Okay. So if we uncomment it, so here it will implement the read resolve method, and I will return my existing reference, which is already being created. Okay. It is already being created. So I will return the existing reference, and I will not allow the new reference to get created. So deserialization will happen on the existing reference. So if you run it, see, now hash code is coming as same. Okay, so after deserialization also hash code is coming as same. Why? Because read resolve method is being overridden, and it checks whether the existing reference is being changed or not. So if it is changing, it will not allow that change, and it will return the whatever reference was originally created. Okay, so like this, we have resolved the deserialization issue. Let's learn about how can you break the singleton design pattern using cloning concept. Okay, so we have already learned about two concepts with the help of which you can break the singleton design pattern, right? With the help of deserialization and with the help of reflection property. So now with this, with the help of cloning, how can you break the singleton design pattern? Now we will understand that. So let me share my screen. I hope you can see my screen now. So we have already learned, like with the help of reflection, how you can break and how we can resolve it. We have resolved it using uh, by writing a proper reference check. Like if reference is not equal to none, we will be throwing illegal argument exception or illegal state exception as per your choice. And with the help of deserialization also we can break. And how we can resolve it? By implementing read resolve method and returning reference of that singleton instance. Okay. And third way is to break the singleton design pattern is with the help of cloning. Okay. So that we will be learning like how we can break the singleton design pattern using cloning concept. So let's uncomment this. Okay. So for this one, if you see, this part is written. Okay. So let's uncomment this part. So here you can see check for cloning I have written. Okay. So here this method needs to throw clone not supported exception because it is having clone method, right? So clone is the method of an object class. Okay. So we need to throw clone not supported exception. And here you can see one error is coming, compile time error is coming, like method clone of from the type object is not visible. Okay, because it's of protected type and you are trying to access from a different package. So how can you access a particular method from a different package? Okay, so with the help of inheritance you can access it, right? So for that sake we need to create one class. Okay, so I have created one super class which implements clonable interface, and we have overridden our own clone method. Okay, so if we override clone method, then here we have to extend this class also. Extends super class. So one class can extend one class and can implement multiple interfaces. Okay, so this thing, it's a real example for that. And now we will be checking. So now we have not overridden the clone method within the singleton method. Okay, within the singleton class. Okay, this is a singleton class. Within this, I have not overridden clone method. So let's check what is the output coming. Okay, so let's now run this code. So here you can see there is a difference in hash code. Okay, if you run it again, still you will see the hash code is different. Hash code is different. That means two new object got created. Okay, your singleton property got broken now. Now, how can you fix this? Okay, how can you make the hash code to be same so that singleton property remains there? Okay, so for that, what you can do, this is a singleton class, right? So we need to override the clone method from the object class. Okay, we will override the clone method from the object class, and you can do two things here. Either you can throw clone not supported exception with the message like cloning is not allowed, or you can directly return the reference just to deal with the read resolve method. any one you can do. Okay, it's up to you totally. So I will show you two ways here. So first way is by returning the reference directly. It's a singleton instance reference. So if we return this instance directly, so now you will see the hash code is coming same. Okay, hash code is coming same. That means singleton property is not broken. I have cloned it. So here you can see I have cloned it. Instance one dot clone. I have taken the hash code out of it, but still you can see hash code is coming same. Got it? So clone method didn't broke the singleton property. Okay, so now if we comment out this part, if we throw new clone not supported exception, we can give message like clone not allowed. Two way you can solve this problem. So if we run this, see, here you can see clone not allowed is coming. That means it's not breaking the existing object. Okay, so it's not breaking the singleton design pattern. So this is very much important concept. So in the interview, they can ask you, okay, so if you want to throw some exception, then what will you do? Okay, and if you don't want to throw exception, if you want to return the original object reference, what can you do? So those you have to be prepared from both the sides. Okay, so in case of constructor also, they can ask like, if we don't want to throw exception in private constructor, how can you solve this problem? So in that scenario, if you don't want to throw any exception in case of private constructor, in that case, we need to make use of enum. Okay, so this is a homework for you. You have to make use of enum and try to solve this singleton concept. So I'm giving you a hint. It's like in the class can be replaced with enum. Okay, and you have to write the instance. It doesn't return anything. Just we have to make use of instance. Why we are making use of enum? Because in enum we can't create our own manual constructor. So if we declare enum, so global constructor will be created at runtime. Okay, so like that we can't able to break into that constructor because we can't create constructor for enum. Okay, so enum is also another way to solve the reflection property. Okay, to solve that reflection issue which was breaking the singleton design pattern. So that way it's a homework for you how you can do that. So for that you need to comment it out this part. Okay, you just have to write enum singleton. Okay, so try it out by your own. If you face any difficulty, you can comment it down. I can create a separate video on that. Okay, so this is the way you can manage singleton design pattern. You can break it and you can resolve it. This is very much important for interview perspective, and they can ask a hell lot of questions on this particular part as well. Okay, so three parts we have covered, like single-threaded singleton design pattern, then multi-threaded singleton design pattern, how you can solve by using volatile keyword, okay, and double checking locking concept. Then the importance of visibility guaranteed mechanism in volatile, this is very important. Then how you can break the singleton and how you can resolve that broken singleton. So those are things that we have learned in this video. So in the next video, we will be learning about some other concepts. So till then, it's Devjit Roy signing off. Bye bye.